Every once in a while, I'll get the urge to do some fan art. And usually I don't follow up on that urge, but this week I watched Cyberpunk Edgerunners on Netflix, and all the character designs were just so cool that I had to draw at least one of them. So hi everyone, I'm Ward, and welcome to my channel Wardrawsalot. And today we're going to do a sketchbook spread on Rebecca from Cyberpunk Edgerunners. So a few things before I start talking about the sketchbook spread and stuff. Number one, I'm going to try really hard not to spoil anything for anybody, especially because this show has only come out like a week or so ago, and people are still probably planning to watch it. So yeah, I don't want to be an asswipe and ruin things for people, especially if they're looking forward to seeing them. I know, like, I don't care about spoilers personally, but that doesn't mean that other people don't care about them. So I'm going to try and keep this as strictly about the art as possible, and putting up some screenshots that are very vague if needed to reference back to things, because I don't want to ruin anything for anyone. The second thing is that if you are a younger audience member, just so happen to be watching this, this anime has like some pretty mature themes to it. Like, if your parents walk in on you on some scenes, or like if anybody walks in, you're just going to be like, all right, hold up, I can explain. But you're not going to be able to explain, so just like a pre-warning with that, because it does have the sexy time, it does have a whole bunch of other shit to it. But yeah, just I guess like be cautious if anything, but realistically, if you're too young to consume this kind of content, then I just suggest to wait it off a little bit. But you know, you do whatever you want with your life, it's just what I suggest. So some quick insight on Cyberpunk Edgerunners. This takes place in the same universe as Cyberpunk 2077. The only difference is that Cyberpunk Edgerunners is kind of like a prequel to the game. And if you actually play the game now and you have it, you know, the most recent update and everything, you can find the main character of Edgerunners, who is David. And he's actually in the game, and you can get his cosmetics and some of the other characters' cosmetics as well, which I think is like really cool that they updated the game to kind of also fit the anime, which is like awesome. So it kind of almost feels like, you know, you're actually in the universe now that they're in, especially because Cyberpunk 2077 is like a first person game. It's like a very POV kind of game where you're the main character, you're put into the story, you get to create how you look and all this stuff. So it's very like RPG vibe going on here. So you know, like you role play as that character, and then seeing these characters from the show in the game kind of like is really cool. I'm almost tempted to buy the game because it's on sale too, so I might just cop that game just so I could play. I haven't gotten the chance to play Cyberpunk 2077 yet because you know, there was like a lot of problems on release, and then like everyone was like, yo, just hold off on it, don't worry about it, wait until it's like good enough. And like people are starting to say, okay, they've updated enough and fixed a lot of the bugs, so it's much more playable now than it was on release, because I know a lot of people complained about, you know, the release, and I was like, so I don't know whether I should get it, which sucks because like the game company that did it was CG Project Red, and I love them, especially with Witcher 3. Like I played, and I'm not exaggerating, I played like over 400 hours of Witcher 3. Like I really dogged that game. I know it back to front. I know like everything. The only thing I didn't do in Witcher 3 was Gwent. Fuck Gwent. I hate that card game. I hate any card game in any game. Anyway, the coolest part about Cyberpunk, not only the game but the anime, is just how incredible the character designs is. For the video game, you can choose basically to customize everything and anything that is on you, and then in Edgerunners you get these really cool designs of characters that just like really interest me, especially because I don't usually do this kind of art style or these kinds of character designs. It's just something that I don't think of doing, but after watching a show like this, it really inspired me to go ahead and try and push the limits of character design and see where I could go with it. Just a lot of these characters look really cool, just like in general. Like I like not only Rebecca, but like I like David's design, I like Lucy's, I like Kiwi's, like all of them have great designs. I really liked Maine's and Dorio's designs. Like all of them have like these really cool aspects to them that the reasoning of their character design also goes along with how they fight and how there's kind of like their styles are and stuff like that. So I think that that's really cool that each thing is very personable to them, especially because in the Cyberpunk universe, you are able to customize your body to like the max limits, but the disbenefit of that, and the game and both the anime speak of this, is that your human body can only take so much mechanics that you add to it. So sometimes if you add too much mechanics or like these cool upgrades and stuff, you're going to end up suffering because your brain and your body can't keep up with how much you're trying to upgrade it, which is a lot of the time the basis kind of Edgerunners is like, how far can someone go with all these upgrades? So there's also that factor, which I think is like really cool too, because that means people get to really decide which upgrades are worth having compared to the ones that aren't worth having. And then some people don't give a shit at all. They just upgraded everything. They were like, fuck it, bro, I'm gonna be this like big ass machine, and then like, you know, they suffer the consequences as a result of that. Now, like I stated earlier, I liked all of the character designs, but I went with Rebecca because she's pretty different than what I usually do. The kind of minty hair and skin with the red eyes, and that pink tattoo that's kind of like on her neck that matches her eyes really stands out. I also liked her character in general because she's very larger than life, to like say the least. She's very loud and out there, and then she says what she wants, and like very aggressive, and very expressive as a result too. Like, of all the characters in the show, she has the most personality, I'd like to say. Like, she's very arguably realistic into a sense, because like you really get these cool expressions whenever you get to see her, and like she really pushes the bar with that. But then you also get those moments where she's like very human and understanding, especially towards the main character, David, and, you know, her friends around her. So it's nice to see how, like, you know, that is her personality, but at the same time, she can just be a really good friend to someone when they need it. So I really like that aspect about her. And her character design was crazy, so I was like, yo, I gotta try it at least. The other characters I really want to try, though. I really want to do Maine and Dorio, especially because they're big muscly type characters, because, like, you know, that's my brand. I love drawing muscles. I don't know why. I don't know when the obsession started, but it did. And like those two characters, especially because of their like story in the show, yo, oh my god, I wish I could talk about it, but I can't. Their story was fucking crazy, and how everything went down. So I might just draw them on my own time in my sketchbook, just because, you know, I would really like to further practice the way the animation was, and the way the character designs is, and how the characters look in general and feel. So I think that it would be a nice like character practice, you know? Okay, so now that I kind of talked about all that stuff, I want to talk about how I did this sketchbook spread. For this spread, I tried something different, which is like making them all connect into each other somehow. I usually don't do that. I separate both drawings onto both pages just because I like the look of that, but this time I wanted to try something different and kind of have the entire spread connected to each other, just because I thought that it would look nice, and it would kind of also help fill in a lot of the white space that I also always end up with, which is fine with me because I add stuff around the white space anyway. But I thought that it would be a cool design aspect if I connected everything into one like mega page, you know, just like an entire spread that looks very like cohesive with each other, which I ended up liking a lot because I've never done that, like I said before, and I just think that it's something that is very looked over by me. A lot of people probably do this, and this is why, you know, their sketchbooks look pretty fucking cool, is because they have very connected pieces in their sketchbook, and I just don't. So I'm gonna try and see if I could do that more often, instead of having two illustrations separated from each other onto a spread. We'll just have the entire spread kind of very put together, and see how well that does with me from now on. But I mean, realistically, I won't be able to do it for every single character I draw, or like the way I do things, but as long as I get to try it more often, that would be pretty cool, especially because I like the way this layout looks, and I was like, you know what, like, I can do it, so why not do it more often? On the left side of the layout, you have Rebecca's face that, you know, is in the usual 3/4 style that I do, and it's much more stylized in, you know, in my style, because that's how I wanted to draw her. I'm trying to break myself away from drawing characters in their original art styles because I don't have to. Even though I really like doing it, I think it's better if I practice those kind of character designs in my own art style so I can understand how it looks when I draw it a little bit better. So we have that. Then onto this page right here, we have a direct screenshot from the show and how I also drew that in my style. I also put like a little mini her next to that just because I feel like that was a nice way to fill out that empty space. And then under that you have like her set of eyes, which is probably my least favorite part of the sketchbook spread because I don't like how they came out very much. I feel like I probably did the proportioning wrong or something, or like they just didn't look as good as I wanted them to. Nonetheless, I tried to like save them with the white gel pen, and even then I was like, but yeah, like that's probably my least favorite part of the sketchbook spread. I'd probably, if I could change it, it would probably just be one eye or like a side profile or something like that. I don't know what I would do, but like it's something that just looks a little bit better, or just have the eyes redrawn in a better way because I did mess that up. For the lining part, instead of using the Copic liners, I went instead with the Kuretake brush pen. Is that what it's called? Hold on. Oh no, my bad. It's the Fudenosuke Tombow brush pen, and I just feel like, oh, this one was hard tip in specific, and I felt like that helped give the character a much more dynamic look to it, especially because with this tip it's pressure sensitive, so the harder you press, the thicker or bolder the line is going to be, and the softer you press, the thinner the line is going to be. So you have the ability to really play with your line variety. Wolf. I almost said variety. I was like, hold on a minute, that's not right. So yeah, you get to play a lot with your line variety in your piece, which again helps really bring any character to life, because I feel like a lot of the time line art is overlooked when it comes to that stuff, and like that's like a lot of like a simple mistake of making something look very 2D and flat is just making line art that has no dynamics to it. But if you get something like a brush pen like this, then it's much easier to kind of help get that message across. And I really like how it came out, and I think it's because of the line art that it ended up looking much better than I thought it was going to be. Now, for all the white space that I had around the character, I really wanted to do something at least kind of connected to all of the cybertronics that they be using. I don't know if it's like that's the proper word, the cybernetics, the mechanics, whatever, like all that like fancy tech stuff. So what I did is I took those kinds of like lines that you see in like tech and shows, and like kind of put them everywhere around the character, and I put them in different colors, like the pink, the green, and the yellow. And these were the editing markers, and I think I had the same problem last time where sometimes the flow is just butt. Like I don't know what it is, especially in that pink marker. It's not as great. The green marker and the yellow marker worked much better with the flow, but the pink marker and even the black marker was kind of dodgy with the flow, so I had to go over some spots several times just to make sure it looked alright. I also just thought that instead of leaving it with the cybernetic lines and then white in the background, it would be way cooler if I filled it in with black in the background, just because I felt like it would help her stand out even more, especially because she is so light in tone and in hair, because, you know, that's just her character, that it would be cool if I put a black background just so she could stand out even more. And I'm glad I did that, because like it looks significantly better that way, and it just makes the sketchbook spread a little bit cooler than originally planned, especially because I don't do black backgrounds or pink backgrounds, like all of them completely filled in. I just don't like any color. So I thought that this would be a cool thing to separate from the rest of my sketchbook, and I might just go ahead and try and do that more often in the future. And using a paint marker was definitely the better option, because I felt like once it's a paint marker and you're using it and for a big area to fill in, I feel like it's doing its job. When it's a huge area I'm filling in and it's like marker, like regular alcohol based marker, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to fill the whole space with the alcohol marker, because I'm gonna have to refill the ink. And then, like, it's kind of like, I kind of don't want to do that. So the paint marker really came in clutch, even though I had to go over it like a good 2 or 3 times in certain areas. Then finally, we also have the white gel pen, which I added for the highlights on the eye. My white gel pen is kind of like dying, right? So like the best way I've seen to handle a gel pen that's dying is just keep working that area in with the ink until it's filled up the way you want it to be. Don't let it dry for like even a second, because once you start letting that shit dry, it's gonna end up like crusting over on top of the already dried part. So if you just keep working it in that area, and like I did little circles to try and fill it up a little bit better instead of kind of doing it back and forth. Instead, doing the little circles kind of helped fill it in a little bit better and kind of helped even out the ink flow. So I think that was personally a better way to handle the gel pen, because I'm going to use it up until it's dead. It's not getting away from me. No art supply gets away from me unless, I'm like, I don't want to use it anymore. But this white gel pen still has a good amount of life in her, and I'm going to use it until it's completely done. And I already have some backups ready, but until then, I'm gonna try and use out any art supply that I got until the very end, so it doesn't matter. Overall, I really enjoyed doing the fan art because I haven't done any in like a really long time. And to be fair, nothing has inspired me hard enough in a really long time to do fan art. So once I finally got the opportunity and saw a kind of character like this that was really cool looking and just crazy, I really wanted to draw her, and I'm so glad I did. I might do some more of them in my sketchbook, but later on. So yeah, thanks for watching, and remember, I love you. Bye.